If you like this podcast, give us a follow, subscribe, like, appreciate all those things. Comment on our videos if you feel like they've been helpful to you. Thank you very much, everybody. Dr. Gina, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great.
I'm really excited to have this conversation. I was looking through your background, all the interesting things that you've done, places you've been. I don't even know where to start, but how about I'll pass the ball back to you and just give us a rundown of who you are and what you do.
So I'm a naturopathic physician. I've been a licensed naturopathic physician in California and Hawaii for the better part of 20 years, more than 20 years now,
Mm,
actually. And I've also been a nutritional supplement formulator
mm.
for years. I was the director of research at Standard Process Nutrition, which is one of the oldest nutritional supplement companies in the country that caters to healthcare professionals. I've done a lot of research on different nutritional supplements that I use in my practice. Um, and I wrote a book called The Power of Glutathione and
Mm.
formulated a product based on that. And what else? I'm a mother, entrepreneur, um, yoga instructor,
Oh, geez, you
all
got
the
a lot of
things.
things
Yeah,
happening. So
horseback rider.
maybe start me by explaining what a naturopathic medicine
Sure.
practitioner. What are they and what aren't they?
Yeah, sure. And so we're licensed. We're trained to be licensed primary care doctors,
Okay.
and every state has different licensing requirements. But basically, naturopathic doctors go to 4-year postgraduate medical schools. You go
Okay.
through all the pre-med requirements, and the first 2 years are very similar to like a typical MD in terms of all of the basic medical sciences, anatomy, histology, biochemistry, physiology, all that fun stuff. And then the last 2 years, when it comes to the clinical part, is more focused on um, looking at the underlying cause of
Mm,
diseases. So we're trained in how to identify all of the different diseases and symptoms and all of that, but then it's really looking at the underlying cause and trying to get to the, original reason why somebody has the experience they're having with their health. And then we get the training on how to go about treating those conditions, primarily using nutrition, diet and lifestyle, hormone therapy, prescription medications when necessary, and depending on the licensing laws. But really, it's an integrative medical approach. So there's a real keen appreciation for allopathic medicine, which is, in very simple terms, drugs and surgery, right?
mhm,
Basically, and a very keen appreciation for natural medicine, which is like looking to nature and understanding the body has the ability to heal itself. You
mm.
know, identify kind of the underlying cause, give it what it needs, remove barriers to cure. And so I kind of see naturopathic doctors as in the middle.
Mm.
So when we'll refer out when needed, because we have a deep appreciation and understanding for all the different types of medical practitioners out there. And then we're always trying to prevent and then treat as best as possible the whole body, the whole person, and trying to get to that underlying cause.
So maybe tell me what life might look like in terms of differences when I visit you versus I
Oh.
visit just a regular old family practitioner doctor that went through more of the traditional style of medical school.
So, okay, first I'll say, like, every doctor is different
Certainly.
depending on who they are. So there are wonderful medical doctors who have gone through the traditional routes, but actually take the time to get to know their patients, And then there's other MDs who don't have that time, and they've got 10 minutes with these patient in and out, and just don't have the time to really establish that connection. If you go to a naturopathic doctor in general, you're spending a good hour, with your doctor during that initial intake. You're probably filling out a questionnaire that's longer than you've filled out in a long time,
Mm,
because we really go into everything, all of your diet and your lifestyle behaviors, whether you had antibiotics when you were a baby,
Mm,
all the way through to, what conditions you've faced as a child, as an adult. What is your lifestyle today? So when I'm interviewing a patient, I'm trying to get a handle of their whole being. What's their day to day like? And is there anything in their day to day life that's impacting why they're coming in?
mm.
So it's much in general. Again, every doctor is different, but in general, you're going to get a much more comprehensive experience of getting to know your doctor and your doctor getting to know you
And
and yeah, the world
it
you live in.
is that, like, structural in the nature of most of my standard GPs? They're gonna be attached to Ohio State, or they're gonna be attached to what here in Columbus would be like Ohio Health, which is just a megalithic organization, 30,000 people. I was just listening to Dr. Nick, or excuse me, Dr. Mike, the handsome doctor, sexiest doctor alive, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But he was saying that a lot of practitioners actually have quotas, that they have to see so many patients in a certain period of
I
time.
do.
He goes, "We get really upset and freaked out when we hear that sheriffs have quotas that they have to pull over so many people in a month period." He's like, "What we should be freaking out about is these doctors have to see 2,000 patients in a 30-day span." So it's like you just run the numbers backwards, and it's like I have to see whatever 60 patients a day, and if I have 8 hours, that's like I need to bang through them. So
Yeah.
there's no possible way that if you go, well, wait a minute, Dr. Gina, there's also this other thing, and I understand what you're telling me it is, but I don't really understand like how it jives with that. They don't have the time to like take a step back and go, wait a minute, okay, hold on. So what is the
Yes.
structure around like your side of the business that you said you might be able to spend an hour or more with me?
Well, I'm in private practice.
Okay,
Right? So I'm not part of a big group. So a lot of naturopathic doctors, they're their own boss.
got
So
it.
they get to decide, how much time they spend per patient and create a business model around that, which it's tough, I will tell you, like with the insurance world, because
Hmm.
insurance companies don't want to pay for the amount of time that a naturopathic doctor will typically spend with a patient.
Mm,
And so I was the president of the California Naturopathic Doctors Association way back when. And that was even then, as we were talking to different insurance providers, they were like, no, we'll cover you for what we would pay a chiropractor to do a 15-minute adjustment. And I'm like, no, that is such a disservice to these practitioners. Right. And so at that time, it was a hard no, but it's evolved since then. And now there's health savings accounts and there's other ways for people to pay for the services. But look, if you're trying to really get to the underlying cause, it takes time, and it you need a lot of data to really understand what's going on, to be able to, in my opinion, help somebody to true my interest is in them truly healing. So they don't
mhm.
need me in the future. Maybe for preventive reasons, like I have a purification program, and who wouldn't benefit from adjustments to their diet and lifestyle to support purification periodically, right? But in general, if somebody's coming in for a certain condition, my goal is to make it so that condition gets resolved, whether it's a chronic condition or an acute condition. So, and that takes time, and really understanding that, as a human being, you have a lot of things going on in your life that are impacting your health that you may not think about: how you're sleeping, who you're interacting with, how often you're spending time in nature, what are you eating, what are you drinking, how much stress do you have in your life, really. So yeah.
If I was to come visit you, is it, likely or unlikely that I would get insurance reimbursement, or are you a cash pay model?
So we provide insurance super bills. And so it's like an insurance receipt. So uses all of the insurance coding. And so some of my patients get great coverage
I see. They
and
can
some of
get
them don't. It
kinda
really,
try to go on their own with it.
yeah. So we provide them with the communication that they need to go back to their insurance company with the different codes, diagnostic codes and treatment codes. And so I have a patient who he owns a bunch of insurance companies. So he gets full reimbursement. He has figured out how to navigate, right?
Mm,
Because he knows the system.
that would be an interesting guy to talk to. I'd love to talk
Yep.
to him. That's a
Yep.
whole that's a whole 'nother belly of the beast type industry there. Um, okay, so if I was to come in, already it sounded like I was gonna spend quite a lot of time with you. That history, I'm gonna go through a long history. You said,
Yeah.
"Did I take any antibiotics as a kid?" I was like, "Geez, I have no idea if I took antibiotics."
Right.
Um, but what kind of things are you looking for within those pieces of information that might help you understand their picture?
So, well, we'll talk about the antibiotics. Why would we be asking about something that happened when you were that young? Well, now there's more information coming out about it, but the gut microbiome, the whole ecology in your gut has a tremendous impact on your health and well-being. It also impacts your mental state, your brain, your emotional state as well. And so, depending on, we also ask, how were you delivered? Was it a vaginal delivery? Was it a C section? Because, believe it or not, as the baby's coming through the birth canal, they're starting to be inoculated with the good bacteria.
I
It
have heard that.
starts then. Yeah. And so, we want to know that information because then when it comes to deciding what to test, and when I'm discerning what tests are worth doing with this patient, if you've had a lot of antibiotics as a child, or if were brought into this world via C-section and you weren't given probiotics as a child and whatnot, I'm going to really focus on testing gut health and really
Mm.
looking at that gut microbiome and seeing how that might be playing into the symptoms you have today.
Yeah, I think that the most common reason that Americans go to see their doctor is stomach-related issues like gastrointestinal distress.
Yeah. And guess what? Like your gut really is your second brain.
So what's going on there? Why does that seem to be so prevalent amongst Americans? Is it as prevalent in other countries? Does, Europe have this issue? Does China have this issue? Does Africa have this issue? Or is this isolated to us, unique to us, and there's something different happening here?
In terms of gut health
Yeah.
in general. So, I mean, the quality of our food is different than it is, say, in Europe, in terms of exposure to genetically modified organisms, and just highly refined grains and the amount of sugar put into our foods and preservatives and chemicals, etc. And so I would say, and it would be wonderful to do like a real deep dive into this, which I haven't lately, but I would say that we are more vulnerable in the US. Yeah, it's because of exposure to toxins and the quality of our food, looking
Mhm.
at our food supply. So,
Interesting. Okay,
and
so
stress and exposure to stress. I think in the US, we are very fast paced relative to the rest of the world.
that's an interesting
Mm.
point. That's maybe your mental state affects your gut
Oh,
affects your
yeah.
mental state, and they kinda cycle together.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so you're trying to understand my history. Maybe you have a good list of things that you're looking at. Then where do we go from there once I either enter the clinic or I'm, patient actively?
So before you even come in the door, you've already filled out a bunch of an intake, a long intake. So I've already taken the time to review your intake paperwork. And so gotten to know you, at least from your answers before I even speak to you in person. And so that's number one. I'm not just like going door to door, meeting you for the first time, having no idea what your background is, looking at your chart as I'm looking at you, trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, I
I've
was
taken the
thinking
time.
while you were talking that I fill out an intake when I go to the hospital, but it's like, do you have kidney disease? No. Like, do you have fatty liver disease? No. Like, have you ever had a
Right.
stroke or heart attack? You're like, I'm 32. Like, what? No,
Yeah.
I don't have any of these things. And then they go, "Oh, you're pretty healthy." It's like, you don't know me. Like,
Right.
stop.
You're right. Right. So, like by the time I've spoken to you, I've already gone through, I know most of your social history, your, genetic history, your diet and, lifestyle, um, behaviors. And then you'll come in and we talk and we fill in the blanks of what didn't get written down. And
Mhm.
that's where the therapeutic relationship truly begins.
Do most people come in to see you as a healthy individual, or do most people come in trying to to work on some particular ailment that they're facing?
I seem to have the 2 extremes.
Mm,
So it's the elite athletes that are looking to or high performance executives who are looking to just get that edge, whether it's through peptide therapy or whatnot, or testing for specific nutrient deficiencies and going after those. So I have a good population of those folks. And then I also have the patients with chronic conditions where they've gone to so many other doctors and have not gotten what they need, have not gotten the relief that they need more long term. So it seems
mm.
like I have those two extremes in my practice.
It's funny you say that because I think I'm actually on both extremes of that. I don't have any, like, chronic, like, illnesses or things that are plaguing me, but I have had things that I have gone to see doctor after doctor after doctor, told them my set of symptoms, and they're like, "Well, I think it's X," and I'm like, "That doesn't make sense because of X, Y, and Z," and they go, "Yeah, I think it's X." At one point, they even started to just be like, "I think that this is just, like, in your head," and I'm like getting kind of pissed off at that point in time, like, "All right, well, I'm not gonna come see you again." One time, this is actually really sad. It's not sad, but it is an indictment sort of the modern some doctors, as you said, not all doctors, some doctors, but I had seen this doctor 2 or 3 times, told him my fact pattern, and I was like, "I don't know what's going on, but there's definitely something happening here." And he was like, no, I don't really think it's anything. I think it's just something small. Don't worry about it." Second time, "Don't worry about it." Third time, like, "Seriously, Alex, like, don't worry about it." And I'm like, "Well, my symptoms are not going away, so I would like to do something here." The 4th time I came, I could hear him on the other side of the door talking to, like, a nurse practitioner
Mhm,
or a DO or something, and
mhm.
basically telling that nurse, "Hey, this is, like I've seen this guy a couple of times, like, this is in his head, this is what's going on." I could hear this, like,
Wow.
door, and then
Wow.
the doctor didn't even see me. He just, like, sent the nurse in, and I was like, "Mm, forget you, like, I'm done with this." So I'm on that extreme, but then I'm also on, like, sort of the biohacker side of things.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
peptides, I do red light
Yeah.
therapy. I
Good.
I make
Cool.
an effort to spend 10% of my income on my health. I wanna
Yes.
your opinion of where my dollars can stretch the furthest, but
Yes.
I'm kind of on both sides of that, and unfortunately, I think more Americans are sort of having that experience with the modern medical system where they have either something that they can't get worked on, or they walk into a doctor that, to your point, like, flips through the chart, "Oh, the Gina. Oh, okay,
Mhm.
so what's going on? Tell me what's going on." It's like,
Right.
I told that to the person who I met, I told that to the second person, and now I'm telling it to why
Yeah.
am I doing this over and over again? So that is, an unfortunate reality, but good for people like you and your business.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, uh, it's a dynamic that doesn't lend itself to truly healing
Mm,
in my opinion, right? So, what is healing? What does that mean? It means your body is getting back to a state of balance. So when you think about balance, do you really think about a rushed experience?
mm,
No, look at nature. And nature is always trying to, I believe, emulate a state of balance. But
mm.
things take time.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just like quick rush and fix a situation right away. It takes time to heal. And to your point about, going into a doctor and after the fourth time being like, look, this is not in my head. Something is wrong. I'm always telling patients, you know your body better than anybody ever will. And so we partner. I've got expertise. You're coming to me. I'm going to share my expertise with you. And I also honor that you know your body, and I will listen to what your perspective is. I'm always trying to encourage patients to go within and get connected with what's going on with you, because you have the most answers in terms of your own healing and truly getting back to a state of wellness if that's what you're wanting to do.
Hmm. Yeah, and I felt like I knew something was going on in that instance, and
Yeah.
being told, "No, there's nothing there," like, that was not reassuring. My brain wasn't like, "Oh, okay, it's fixed." It's like, "No, there's something here. There's something happening."
Something like, why would you take the time to go to the doctor over and over and over again? It's
I
like,
hate going to the doctor. It costs
yeah,
money, it's inconvenient. I can only schedule it, like, Tuesday at 1 p.m. There's no possible way that I'm not working. So,
right.
miss either, like, the whole middle half of my day or the end of the day. And then you talked about, like, an anxious experience being in the doctor. I'm sure you know about this, that kind of white coat syndrome where they go
Mhm.
test your blood pressure and it's elevated or that your heart rate's elevated
Yeah.
because you're just in that environment and you're like just nerve-wracking for some reason.
It's like you're giving your power away. Don't give your power away.
Well,
You
that
know, you are in charge of your body. Go
well
to the doctor, they work for you.
well, that's the one thing also is that when you go and you talk to a doctor and they tell you this is like what it is, you feel sort of powerless. You're like, "Look, I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't know." Like, this person went to whatever
Yeah.
school, and then they did 4 more years after that for medical school, and then they did their 3-year residency here and then their 2-year fellowship. Like, they probably do know the answer, right? So, like, who am I to tell them, "No, you're wrong. That's not correct." And now we're told, like, "Oh, don't do your own research." And there's kind of a joke out there, like,
Yeah.
doing your own research used to just be called reading. Am I not allowed to read anymore? 'Cause that was pretty, like, something we liked doing previously, so
It's I mean, now there's so much information out there that it can be overwhelming and it's confusing, and it can be tough for doctor, I will say, on the other side of it, for doctors too, because, some of the questions that come at you, it's like it's hard to answer them because there's so much background that you need to really be able to understand what you're asking.
mhm,
Does that make and so it's tough on both sides, and sometimes I will share with my patients to take a break from just focusing so much on your research and symptoms and health and health and health, because
mm,
it's almost like an overfixation on it. And if you would just pause and enjoy your life and focus on other things a little, it could help you to actually heal, because your stress hormones will go down, things will get a little more balanced, and you'll have a different perspective. So it's like there's a lot of anxiety that can be created by going online to research your symptoms.
I can corroborate that. I do not
Yeah.
have a lot of anxiety, but the
Yeah.
only times that I have ever felt something that I think resembles, like, a panic attack, that's the only thing I could probably describe it as, is when I'm, like, online reading about something, and then I, like, kinda, like, get the spins almost. I've had that
Oh,
happen maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, but it's almost always been, like, when I'm ruminating on 'cause I take my health very seriously. I'm
mhm,
very active, I love being active, that's probably
mhm.
one thing that I love most in life is just, like, getting out and going for a hike or playing soccer
Yeah.
or, like, doing some Muay Thai or lifting weights. I just find it to be fun. I know not
Yeah.
everyone finds those things fun, but I find it really fun.
Yeah.
So when I think like, "Oh, my ankle is just, like, screwed," it's gonna be like, when I'm 60, I won't even be able to walk on it. By the time I'm 40, I won't be able to jog. That's what, like, just gets my brain spiraling. Uh,
Mhm.
I try not to do that. That doesn't really seem to help me.
And that's where, like, the whole biohacking movement has been helpful, because there's so many things we can do to keep our bodies healthy longer. It's amazing. I mean, the information out there and the technologies out there now, it's there's so much that you can do to help heal your body and prevent those things.
Well, let's start at a very base level. I have some questions about where you kind of begin to instruct people on how to take back charge of their health and their life. Talk to me about like just diet 101. How do you think about diet? Because I presume, or for me, a lot of things start with diet, just like eating relatively clean, getting good nutrients. Talk to me about how you feel about that.
I mean, you're eating a couple times, 3 times a day at least. So it's a diet is so important to your health. And changing your diet can be so hard because it's so ingrained in your day-to-day lifestyle that it's tough. It's tough to
Mhm,
make those changes long term. Even if you know you shouldn't be eating X, Y, and Z, if your body's so used to it and you're so used to it, chances are you're going to keep doing it.
mhm,
And so diet is crucial, crucial. Um, so I have patients fill out kind of a mini diet diary. And when I'm interviewing a patient for the first time, I'll ask, okay, what's the rundown? What did you eat from the minute you woke up yesterday until you went to bed?
mhm,
And we'll go through and assess that. And then in terms of making recommendations, there is no perfect diet for everybody. There isn't. Intermittent fasting isn't the best thing for everybody, but it can be amazing for some people. Juice fasting could be great for some people and horrible for other people. Veganism could help some people and be terrible for others.
Mm,
So uh, diet is so crucial, but it's also important to not just jump on the bandwagon of the next fancy thing that's happening. These days, I am so passionate about encouraging people to get back to themselves and their own intuitive sense
mm,
of what is best for them. Give you the tools. Okay, here's why gluten could be a problem.
mm,
Here's why the type of dairy that we have available to us might not be good for you, right? But also then tune into yourself to kind of discern what is something that would be a good thing for you to eat right now, really. So more of an intuitive type of diet. Looking at genetic history, so if you've got a Mediterranean background, what would work best for your biochemistry might be very different than if you come from, or you have a genetic background from Russia,
mm,
for example. And so that becomes important. And then there's tons of testing you can do. You can do food allergy testing, delayed and immediate, what's called hypersensitivity reactive testing to see what foods your body mounts an immune response to.
mm,
And so that's always a good idea because then okay, I'm going to avoid these for the time being because they're actually causing inflammation in my body. And
mm.
it's in black and white in front of you through the blood test.
I have a lot of warehouse staffers who are, your hourly staffers. And sometimes the things that I see them eating, I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. So I think a lot of people don't even feel like overall well enough to know when they're not feeling well
Yeah. Yes.
because they're just in a chronic state of like,
Right.
well, I had like a Dunkin' Donuts frappe on my way in, which was like 60 grams of sugar plus caffeine.
Mhm.
And then for lunch, I have like, I'll see them do like the ready made meals, which probably aren't the worst thing in the world, but like a Hungry Man, which is like a brownie and corn and like chicken. And I'm like, I don't know when that was made. That was probably made like 18 months ago. Like, that's like, it's better than some things, but it's not great. And then they'll have like a soda. And I'm like, oh, like just save the soda and you're doing okay. And then they'll snack, and I'll see them, like, snack on, like, Chips Ahoy or Oreos, and I'm just like, if I ate any of those things, I know my heart would be just, like, pounding in my chest, like, my hands would start to get swollen, like, my feet would start to hurt in my shoes. So maybe talk to me about somebody who's, like, you kinda talk to the biohacker extreme, doing some
Yeah.
of the testing and things like that,
Yeah.
which I've done some, I could probably do more. Talk to me about someone who's just, like, slogging through the day trying, "Hey, Gina, I'm just trying to pay my bills." Like, you're
Yeah.
talking about testing for allergens, like,
Yeah.
get
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's why I created the purification program.
mm,
So, and it's been in existence for over 20 years. And I created it while I was living in Wisconsin. And so, butter burgers and frozen custardville.
nice.
And when I created it, everyone in the company was like, "What? What? You want us to do what?" But I designed it in a way. I was like, "Okay, I want a program that will actually help change habits long term, and that will also help people who are just, going about day to day, not really conscious about exactly what they're eating and how it's impacting them, to start to experience what it's like to not eat those foods that cause inflammation
Mm,
and to have a program that's doable for them. So that was my whole reason in setting that program up. And it works. It's why it's been in existence for so long, because it is for every walk of life, but you really do need to take that time over a 3-week period to experience it and realize, "Oh wow, I have more energy. I'm sleeping better. I'm not as hungry as I thought I would be."
mm. So
Right?
so what
And
does that
so
look like?
that's
Is that an elimination type diet where you're eliminating certain things or
So it's a whole program. I formulated a meal replacement shake. So it's a
oh,
powder that you mix and there's detoxification supplements, things to support getting the gunk out of your cells so that your cells are functioning more optimally. And so you're taking some products, you're taking these meal replacement shakes. And then there's also diet guidelines.
I see.
And essentially it's an anti-inflammatory diet. but
Look,
it's doable. And I created these meal replacement shakes because I wanted to make it where your blood sugar would stay stable. You weren't starving. You weren't putting your body into a state of shock. You could still go about your day working and doing your thing. But little by little, day by day, you're experiencing a low inflammatory diet and you're experiencing what life is like when you make some of these diet and lifestyle changes.
I think you hit on something that's really important that a lot of people don't pick up on when it comes to diet or exercise, especially when they're like starting a new routine. I have a buddy who works here who's now starting to exercise with us, and I'm trying to coach him up on his diet. And
Yeah.
he's really gung ho and excited right now. He's 260 pounds. He's 5'10". He's probably like 50, 60 pounds overweight.
Mhm.
And he's like really excited. And he's like, dude, I'm working out 3 days a week. I'm going to work out 5 days a week with you guys. I'm like, no.
Mhm.
And he's now starting to track his calories. And
Yeah.
dude, I can cut off 500 calories off of this. And I'm like, no, stop. Like, you need to slow down. I just want you to get into the routine and rhythm of doing this thing. I want to stimulate, not eviscerate. And even really smart people I know will go, I'm going to start working out. Okay, every morning I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to get into the gym. And I'm like, you're not really a morning person, but like, good luck with that. And then you'll see them in the gym like 3 days at 5 a.m. And then on the fifth, they're like, oh, I can't keep doing this. And I'm like, yeah, because you're a maniac. Like, you set yourself up for failure right from the get. You go on a
Mhm.
weight loss diet, I'm gonna eat 1,000 calories a day. It's like you might get 2 days into that before you like try to kill yourself by gorging on food. If you want to
Right.
exercise 5 days a week, you might do that for like 3 weeks and then be like, oh my gosh, I don't have any time for my friends or my family or my girlfriend or my hobbies anymore. Like, God, I'm so sore all the time. This hurts. It's terrible.
Mhm.
I'm like, just go gentle. Like, I just want you to
Yeah.
ease into this
Yes.
thing.
So
So,
it sticks. You're wanting it to last.
yeah, absolutely. So
So, Alex, can I pause you for 1 second? My little girl, she's 12. She's on a trip to Idaho and she just landed and called me. I just got to
go
call
ahead.
her. It'll take me like 2 minutes.
You're fine. I'm gonna grab a little bit of water.
Thank you. Thanks.
So, we were talking about inflammatory things, inflammatory foods. Um, what does that mean? What's the problem with inflammatory foods? What are going to be inflammatory foods? What do they look like?
Yeah. So, most of your processed foods increase inflammation. So, when you say high inflammatory foods or an anti inflammatory diet, talking about things that you're consuming that increase inflammation in your body. And it's a silent inflammation.
Mm,
So it's not like if you get a bug bite and it's red and inflamed. That's one type you see it. It's a big bump there. This is insidious. It's in your body. It's happening. It's like a fire inside your body that's causing a lot of different symptoms, but you don't necessarily see it,
mm,
but it's there. And so foods that increase inflammation in your body are foods that you're allergic to.
okay.
So that for sure. And then there's other most of your processed foods are going to trigger some level of inflammation. So all your packaged processed stuff, fast food, fried foods, increase inflammation, sugar, high fructose corn syrup,
Mm,
genetically modified produce
mm,
increases inflammation. And so grains,
mm.
wheat, high gluten foods, dairy is and a high inflammatory food. So,
Yeah, to take it back to my example of my warehouse staffer, when they walk in with that frappuccino, that's just like sugar
yeah,
mainlined right into the body,
yeah.
which some amount of sugar is not like the worst thing in the world, right? If I eat an apple, that's not bad for me, right, Dr. Gina?
No, apples, that's different. That's different type of sugar. I mean, it's combined with the fiber and the water. It's more balanced. It's
Right.
coming from nature. It's more balanced.
But if I mainline a Mountain Dew with 45 grams of sugar, that's not something that we historically would have had access to. Plus, there's no fiber, right? So there's nothing that slows down that breakdown of the sugar over a longer period of time. It's just like straight into the artery, I guess, straight into your veins, like right on the dot sugar.
It's like an IV push.
Exactly. So what about like carbs and sugar? Like if they walked in with a cinnamon roll, is that bad?
Is that bad? Oh, it increases inflammation. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
What about
Yes.
you said like fast food. So what if like what if I want like a Big Mac, Dr. Gina? Like what's so wrong? That's protein. It's got protein there.
It's got protein and that's good, but it's also likely has trans fatty acids, which was one of the worst things that your body can you can consume.
Mm,
Those it's like a type of fat that embeds into your cell membranes and hardens them, so it blocks cell to cell communication.
mm.
It blocks your cells from being able to communicate with one another to operate properly. Um, your fried foods, they all trigger inflammation in your body. And chronic inflammation is a major component to the vast majority of chronic diseases that are here: heart disease, cancer, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety, mental health issues can also be associated with inflammation in your body.
Yeah, this is something I sort of just learned. I didn't understand. I mean, I knew it's not good to be overweight or obese, but I didn't understand how much of an impact that had on things like cancer or neurodegenerative diseases
Yep.
or these very because they're all inflammatory type states. And if you're obese, that's just like chronic inflamed
Yeah.
body across all of those things because you're probably again eating those sugars and eating those trans fats.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so diet. What about like portions? Like, how much do I, Dr. Gina? How much do I eat?
Just day to day, or if you're on a purification program.
I get.
How much you
Let's say I'm regular and I'm not ready for purification yet. I just want to
Yeah.
clean up my act.
I mean, it's that's such everybody's different. I mean, depending on your body type, your height, your basal metabolic rate, your level of activity. It's so hard to answer that question.
Hmm.
But I will tell you, if you take the time to focus on higher quality foods, meaning slowly migrate away from packaged foods and processed foods and fast foods. If you eat fast food 3 times a day, back it down to 2 times a day. That's what I'm talking about. If you're primarily eating, 80% packaged foods right now, back it down to 50% packaged foods. So I'm not
Mm,
saying just cut it out, but just by doing that, your body is going to be there's going to be less burden on your body and on your metabolism, so it will work more efficiently and everything will work better. And you will likely need less calories and you won't be feeling addicted to the sugar and the fats and all of that. So it's really about working with your body, giving your body what it needs, and then removing barriers to cure. So start to pull away some of those big blocks. Like I said, it doesn't have to
mm.
be stop eating fast food altogether, but
Yeah,
cut
there
it
was
down by a third.
there was this really interesting study that I heard. This scientist, he took two groups of rats. He took half, and they got like a healthy diet, like a more natural diet, real foods, real meats, real grains, so on. And then he had the other half of the rats eat like a junk food diet, like your standard American diet with cookies and chips and things like that. And then he tracked how many calories they ate overall. And then he took the group of rats that was eating the bad diet, the unhealthy diet, and he swapped their food. So he thought by his hypothesis, they would end up eating more calories of that type of food than the group of healthy rats who had not eaten the unhealthy foods.
Mm.
And would you guess what happened?
Yeah.
Not only did they not eat more calories, they refused to
Yeah.
eat the food at all. They were
Yep.
like, this is gross. We're not
Yeah.
eating this. And the only time that they began to eat it was when they were near starvation.
Yes.
So those
Yes.
processed foods can legitimately change the chemical structure of your brain to be like, we need this, we need more of this, we need Chips Ahoy, we need soda, we need uh Lay's potato chips. Someone has a baked chicken and broccoli. Ugh, gross, disgusting. And it's like that's the real food.
Yes, yes, yes. So you have to it's retraining your brain and your body. It's a retraining process. And you can do it slowly. You don't have to do it all at once, but you're slowly getting back to allowing your body to do what it does best, which your body's designed to, operate efficiently for the most part. And you got to remove the things that are blocking that from happening. But that's exactly what I'm talking about,
I
Alex.
I also heard someone say that we don't love the foods. We don't eat the foods that we love. We end up loving the foods that we eat. This is why
Yeah.
you can go to whatever country and they're eating, larvae or they're eating scorpions. And you're like, this is disgusting. I think Anthony Bourdain went to Iceland and he ate fermented shark and he said it was the single most disgusting thing that he had ever eaten. But they're like, oh, it's a delicacy here.
Hmm.
So they grew up like trying this fermented shark and time after time after time of eating it, they're just
Yeah.
like, this is good. This is why my dad's like, hummus is disgusting. I'm like, Dad, it's pretty simple. It's chickpeas, like a little bit of olive oil, tahini. And he's like, it's gross. And I'm like, well, you never ate this as a kid. I guarantee that if you were born in Dubai, you would love hummus. I'm sure of that. But he just
Yeah.
never ate that. So he never developed a taste for it, which is something that I think most people should be excited about because then it's like, hey, I don't really love broccoli, but if I can like get it to a point where I don't mind it, maybe I put like
Hmm.
hot sauce on it or I put some lemon juice on it or hopefully not like molten cheese, but I can do something that makes it appetizing for me. Over time, you'll begin to like that food more and more. It may not ever be your favorite food, but you will like it more.
It's why, I mean, well, I have 2 things. One, I just got back from Cabo, and they serve crickets there, and the first time they served me, I'm like, can you give me this without the crickets, please?" And the server looked at me, and he was in a very kind way, but he's like, "Why? You don't like crickets?" And I'm like, "No, no." But it was so commonplace, like, so it's just normal, and so, because that's part of their diet there, and so and this was high-end resort and all that, and I'm like, crickets? But for me, that's nuts and crazy, but it's not. It's not. It's just
Mm,
because I'm not used to it.
mm,
So that, and then my own child. So I'm really passionate about teaching mothers how to eat while they're pregnant.
interesting.
Yeah, and then also how to feed their child, if they're breastfeeding, to nurse, and then also how to transition them to whole foods and not necessarily, giving them formula if possible, and jarred food and whatnot. But my daughter was, when I put her on whole foods, I handmade all the stuff for her, right? It was like that super mom doing all the things, and but I got tired, and because I was working and doing, and so I was like, I'm gonna just try a jar of organic, from Whole Foods, organic food. She spit it out. She's like, "No, not
Mm,
interested." And so her body was trained to know what real, fresh whole foods were, and right off the bat, I could never feed her any jarred food. And
mm,
so, it starts young. It starts young. So I'm always like, you can always change your diet and you can always change what you're doing and retrain your brain and your body. Always. It's never, ever, ever, ever too late for that.
mhm,
And if you have the opportunity to start at a young age, or even during pregnancy, do it. You'll get the biggest bang for your buck. It's worth the time and energy to do
mhm.
that. So,
Yeah, especially if you are looking back on your childhood and going, "Yeah, I didn't really eat the best when I was a kid,
yeah.
but I know that my kids can do better than me." That's like
Yeah.
how I was. Like I was a product of the '90s. My parents were fantastic parents, super
Yeah.
loving,
Yeah.
like awesome, provided for us, but we didn't know what to eat. Like we had bagel bites and we had like chicken tenders
Yeah.
and like we would eat fast food. We would go play a soccer game and then my brother would have a practice. So like two parents would be in two different parts of town and we'd go back together and like we'd just go get fast food. That was
Yep.
pretty normal for us. Like I don't
Yep.
think they were terrible parents. I just think that at that time that was just not nearly talked about that much in Columbus,
Right.
Ohio.
They didn't know. Most parents don't know, and most parents are, and especially these days, it's like everybody's so busy. It's not easy to not go get the fast food. It's not, and it's also, as best as you can. I mean, it's worth it. It's everybody. You're always doing cost benefit analysis, just like in business, with every decision you're making in life. And I guess I'm just saying, cost benefit. It's worth it. It's
Mhm.
worth it. The cost is worth the benefit long term.
It's yeah, do you wanna pay for it now, or do you
I
wanna
wanna
pay
look at
for it
them.
when you're 62 years old and you got 2 bad knees because you were 50 pounds overweight and you're diabetic
Right.
and, the doctor's telling you you have rheumatoid arthritis or some, anti or, autoimmune
Yeah.
disorder. It's like you're paying for it at some point in time. It's just when do you wanna pay for it? Oh, also, your medical insurance is like $1,400 a
Yeah.
month now because 'cause you're 62.
Right.
Hopefully by the time I'm 62, there'll be some better solutions out there.
There
Uh,
better be. There will be. There will be. Yeah,
Cross our fingers.
there will be.
We're on the forefront. Hopefully, we have some solutions. What about exercise? How do you counsel people on exercise, or is that like not even the next most important thing for people in their line of health optimization?
Movement is essential. I mean, diet is so critical, and if you're just talking about body composition, you can do a lot just with diet.
Most definitely.
More so than exercise. Like that's truly, truly, truly. However, movement is crucial. I mean, you're moving your lymphatic fluid, you're helping to support detoxification, increasing circulation, etc. So super key. I'm always counseling patients to, as best you can, exercise outside when you can.
Mm,
And whether it's depending on where they're at, whether it's walking in nature or jogging or hiking or doing, I'm always encouraging people to do things that you actually love to do, incorporating those activities and not just, if you love going to the gym, awesome, go to the gym. Right? If you don't, but you love hiking, then focus on that. So trying to find things that you really love doing, swimming or whatnot. But there is research that shows that spending time out in nature, listening to the sounds of nature. So it can be anything. It can be the birds singing, the ocean, the wind, the trees. When you're listening to the sounds of nature, you're helping to regulate your cortisol levels. Cortisol is your main stress hormone. And that is so central to inflammation. We were talking about inflammation. Cortisol plays a huge role in how
mm,
inflamed your body gets.
right.
Cortisol also gives you energy and helps you to cope with stress. And so regulating that hormone is super important. And there's no drug, there's no herb, there's no supplement, there's no peptide that can regulate cortisol better than being outside in nature, listening to the sounds of nature. So
Yeah,
when you look at exercise, like I always try and incorporate that into my messaging.
I had a friend that he's pretty kooky. He's got like some very unique ideas. And maybe like 5 or 8 years ago, he told me about sun gazing. And I'm like, okay, what could this
Yeah.
possibly be? And he's like, well, I wake up and I go look at the sun like while it's rising, and then I try to look at the sun while it's setting. And I try to like put my circadian rhythm to that. And I'm like, okay, well, that sounds like a little weird. Lo and behold, like 2 years ago, I'm listening to Huberman, and he says that when you wake up, your cortisol is your wake up hormone, right? It tells you, hey, get up, it's time to start the day.
Mhm.
And for men, I don't know exactly how the mechanism works for women, but he said the best thing you can do is when you wake up is get outside and get sunlight directly into your eyes, not onto your skin, onto your eyes. And it helps convert your cortisol into testosterone. He said there's like a direct mechanism to convert cortisol into testosterone. So not only are you kind of decreasing that cortisol response, you're increasing your testosterone response. And I was like, holy crap, my sun gazing buddy was right. He had it right.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
one of the most powerful things that you can do in the morning. And to your point, you get outside, maybe you get outside and do a little quick workout, or even just get outside and walk, or even just get outside and look at the sun through some method that diffuses the light. Don't
Mhm.
stare straight at the sun.
Yeah.
Uh, but I thought that was fascinating that
Yeah.
it's kind of the idea that probably is an ancient idea, like wake up and go to sleep when the sun is rising and setting. But he had it right totally with the biomechanism.
Yep. There's a lot that we don't know, right? About how the body works. There are so many processes going on all the time. And so I think that's amazing. And it's probably balancing that it's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is it's the cortisol hormones are connected to hormones in your brain that help to stimulate production of testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, growth hormone, and all of that. So
Do you know what the midwit meme is when I say that?
no.
So the midwit meme is, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I've certainly seen this." But basically, the midwit meme is this graph where there's one person on the far left side of this bell curve that's kind of like what they make look like, an idiot. And then the person on the far right, it's like the sage, they have it all figured out. And the person in the middle is like, they've researched this to death. They've really thought deeply about this. They have done all the homework and study and they've read the papers. And this is kind of how I feel about like some of the things you're talking about, going outside, being in the sunlight. Like on one side is the person who hasn't done any research at all and they just go, sunlight's good.
Yeah.
And then the person in the middle is like, no, too much sunlight, it's dangerous, you'll get skin cancer, which is possible. That's a reality, obviously, be careful. And then the person on the right who's done all the research, they're like, sunlight's good. So that's kind of, it's like that thing, you just kind of feel it. Like, I don't know, I feel better when I go outside, so like I try to go outside sometimes.
So I feel like with all of the information that is being pushed at us at all times, that's why I'm passionate about like honoring your own intuition and honoring some of those natural ways that you are connected to that are going to keep you healthy, and don't discount that. Sunlight
Absolutely.
feels good. I mean, and of course, be mindful of it and protect yourself and all of that, but
Does
don't
not feel good to get
underestimate.
sunburned.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, don't forget about that either. Like, don't block that out because of this overabundance of information that's coming at us all the time.
Okay. Okay, so we've covered a little bit of diet, a little bit of exercise.
Yeah.
What's is there a third pillar? What are the other things that you're going to think about in terms of someone's overall health? Is it mental state? I know that's a really important one for you.
Yeah. Mental, emotional,
Mm,
socioeconomic state. I mean, it's your environment, how you're perceiving the world
mm,
around you. So your mental state, how emotionally regulated you are, is going to impact your health. And so assessing that. And then also, like, what are the stresses going on in your life? So what's happening just in your own little world, that could be that I could help guide you with, in terms of making some changes that are going to help that environment and help you to be healthier.
mm.
So it's all of those.
And presumably also diet and exercise are going to help that mental state quite a
Oh yeah.
lot.
Yeah. It's
It's funny
interconnected.
because I know so many people are like, I just hate exercise. I hate exercising. And I'm like, "Do you actually hate it or do you hate the idea of it? Because if you don't ever, like, do it, it's hard for you to actually say that you hate to do it. I think you probably hate the idea of it. You hate this thought that it's gonna stink, it's gonna be hard, I'm gonna be sore, I'm gonna be out of breath, but also you're discounting the, like, future positive feelings of the ramifications of that exercise.
Or maybe you need your hormones balanced and you need a little more nutrition in your body. And then you'll feel naturally motivated and want to
Mm.
exercise. So sometimes I'm looking at, how do I help balance somebody out so that they want to exercise? I don't have to tell them to go do it.
Could that be part of the problem if I have a male friend in my life? Again, I know very little about female anatomy. I know a little bit about male anatomy, but I have a male friend in my life. He goes, "Yeah, I don't want to work out. I hate working out. It sucks. I want to like sit on my couch and play video games." Could that be that he just has like a low level of testosterone?
Yes.
Because testosterone is the get up and go hormone. The way that I've heard it described, which I think is a great description, you could tell me if it's medically accurate or inaccurate, but it's the hormone that makes effort feel good.
Yeah, I love that. I love that description. For men, your testosterone level goes down over time. In women, it leads to menopause as their estrogen levels go down over time. For men, it's called andropause. Their
Mm,
testosterone levels go down and testosterone is what gives men motivation and drive, and gives you energy. It's sex drive, muscle development, all of that. And so absolutely, if your testosterone is low and you're treating a testosterone deficiency, you'll see that motivation come back just naturally, because
mm,
he's more balanced. And changing your diet can also impact your testosterone levels. If
mm,
you are lowering inflammation in your body, you can naturally boost testosterone too.
mm. And also
So
the
that's where the
exercise
diet.
will also have a bounce back effect too, that
Yes.
if this person is eating poorly, and doing various other things that are going to lower their testosterone, but they start weight training or
Mhm.
even, other forms of exercise, that's going to then boost their testosterone, which might be kind of a cyclical thing.
Yeah, weightlifting and then also even just not eating after 7 p.m.
Mm.
Those 2 things will boost your testosterone levels.
I have to say, I'm a eater after 7 p.m., Dr. Gina. Don't take this
And
away from me.
I mean, and again, this is like general recommendation for most people, but that most often will naturally increase your testosterone levels.
So is that because after 7 p.m., if I eat, my body's kind of working on that food at night and I can't secrete as much growth hormone over the night?
Yes, your growth hormone is mostly secreted while you're sleeping. If you stop eating, it'll also help you to go to sleep and stay asleep.
Mm.
I mean, there are nuances to this, but in general, you're kind of lowering that inflammatory load and lowering that burden on your body. So your body kind of shifts out of digestive mode and into sleep mode.
I do know that Brian Johnson, the longevity guy, he
Yeah.
doesn't eat something like 10 hours or 12 hours from when he goes to sleep. And he apparently has like the world number 1 sleep score under the Whoop tracking app, which you gotta say that's some data that's pretty
Hey,
impressive. You can't
that's
hack,
impressive.
you can't fake that. It's the data. It is there.
Right.
So, but yeah, I do unfortunately a lot of my eating comes with my bigger meal towards dinner. I usually fast until midday or so, and then I'll eat
Mhm.
like kind of a decent sized meal, 1,000 calories, 1,200 calories, something like that. And then usually I'll exercise around 5 after work. Today, because we're doing the podcast, I did it in the morning, and then I'll usually go home, shower, clean up, eat
Yeah.
my dinner around 8 or maybe even 9 sometimes, and then hit the hay around like 10:30, 11.
I mean, try changing it up. See how you feel.
I would try a
Try it.
breakfast.
Try it.
I'm just a glutton. I know if I eat like a breakfast and a lunch, I'm just still gonna want dinner. I'm still gonna want my 1,000 calories or 1,200 calories for dinner. So I'm trying to, stay lean, but also gain muscle, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so what about that mental state? What are the things that people can think about to optimize their mental state? Maybe if they're thinking about diet and nutrition, they're thinking about exercise routine. Maybe they're getting outside, they're touching some grass every so often, getting sunlight. What are the things that they can do to dial in that mental state?
Well, I will say doing all those things is going to help your mental state. Doing all the things that we just talked about lowers inflammation in the body, and that lowers inflammation in the brain. So there's a
Mm,
direct connection between the amount of inflammation in your body and the amount of inflammation in your brain. Your brain will actually mimic what's going on in the rest of your body in terms
is
of inflammation.
is that what you think's happening with the increase of dementia and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and these
Yes,
various
I do.
neurodegenerative diseases that we're just more inflamed as a society?
Yes. Yes. And so when it comes to the neurodegenerative diseases, yes. And overexposure to toxins in our environment. So in the brain, I'm big on glutathione, which is a power antioxidant. I call it the mother of all antioxidants.
Mm,
Well, and it's in every cell in your body. And the whole point of glutathione is to reduce damage from toxins that you're exposed to, which
mm,
lowers inflammation, right? Every cell in your body. However, the concentration of glutathione in the brain is less than the rest of your body. And it's one of the reasons why the brain is more vulnerable to exposure to toxins.
mm.
Yeah, so those toxins go to the mitochondria of the cells, which is the powerhouse of your cells.
I remember that from school.
Yeah, and that's
That's
kinda like right, yeah, it's a powerhouse, mitochondria. And so that's where the DNA is housed, and that's where the toxins tend to congregate.
interesting.
Right there where the DNA is, right? And so that's where glutathione is. Naturally, your body makes it.
Mm,
And to protect the mitochondria from the damage from toxins. So there's less of a concentration of that protective agent in the brain, making the brain more
mm,
vulnerable to exposure to toxins. And so when you've got more toxins that you're exposed to, you're going to face more neurodegenerative conditions.
and that's the best daily ever supplement that you have.
Well, I was inspired to create Best Daily Ever. That's one of the reasons.
Mm,
I was lecturing, I was hired to lecture to doctors and pharmacists about the impact of glutathione on neurodegenerative. diseases. And I'm like, this stuff is amazing. There's over 100,000 clinical trials done on
100,000 clinical trials?
over 100,000 on
Whoa.
glutathione for all sorts of different conditions. It's a potent detoxifying agent. It detoxifies heavy metals from your body. It's the master antioxidant. Works with vitamin C. They work together. But in terms of when you talk about lowering inflammation and lowering inflammation in the brain, but also in the body, supporting immune function, supporting detoxification, glutathione is a powerhouse.
Mm,
If you can get it in your body in a form that's stable and actually gets into your cells and does the job.
mm. What is, like, a recommended dose for glutathione? Do people do pills, powder? Obviously, you have your flavored supplement, which,
Mhm.
hey, anything that makes it easier to take a product. I know a lot of people don't like pills, and if you can get it in a product that also has, I know, some other, like, daily health level, ingredients, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it was during COVID that I formulated the product and I was homeschooling my daughter. I'm like, everybody needs to be taking glutathione. Everybody needs to know about this. It needs to be accessible to everybody.
Mm.
But normally glutathione doesn't taste good. It kind of
I
smells because of
I
the
have
sulfur component.
had
Yeah,
unflavored glutathione. It is
yeah, it's
pretty
gross.
bad.
Yeah, and then a lot of the oral supplements don't work because it doesn't get into the cells where it needs to get into,
Mm.
and so it's not bioavailable, and so then you need to inject it is one way or take an IV of it, and so that's where I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna formulate a product that is bioavailable, works, tastes good without sugar, will boost blood levels that even a child would wanna take." So
Mm.
that was the idea behind it. But you can take glutathione in a lot of different ways. So there's topical, there's like a
Interesting.
topical form. So it gets absorbed through your skin if it's the right form. There's injections. So I was doing glutathione injections intramuscular in my practice, and I still do them. And then there's an IV of glutathione as well. The challenge with IV glutathione is your body is under what's called tight homeostatic control when it comes to glutathione. So it'll only allow a certain amount to actually get anywhere. And so
Interesting.
there are some leading authorities on the use of glutathione that say it's total waste. It's like total waste of money to do it because it's not getting into your cells. Like prove that this mass amount of glutathione, it's a large tripeptide. It's not easy for it to get into your cells where it's going to have an actual effect on your body.
Mm.
And so in terms of you can your body makes glutathione. You can get it in your diet in small doses. Things like broccoli and cherries and peaches, even hamburger meat. So even if you're having that McDonald's, it's got a little glutathione in it, you know? But I see that our body's demand for glutathione has gone up so much because of exposure to toxins.
Mm.
And I don't think our bodies have evolved yet to the point of being able to handle that exposure. And so our bodies you need more glutathione. And that's where
Mm.
I'm a big fan. I call the product Best Daily Ever because to do take a little every day
Mm.
versus a high dose once a week or every 2 weeks or whatnot. Get some in your body every day to ensure you're working with your body and you're giving it one of the most important things you can give it to lower inflammation and support your antioxidant capacity and support your brain. And so that's the deal. So 250 milligrams of a bioavailable
Mm.
stable form of
Got it.
glutathione is kind of a good amount for daily use.
You talk about toxins that are in our environment. What are the ones that you think about the most in terms of easy fixes, things to avoid? Obviously, we know about mold and things like that,
Mold is terrible.
but what are the things that people should be thinking about that maybe they're overlooking or maybe the low hanging fruit?
For sure mold. For testing for mold, it's everywhere. And then pesticides and herbicides
Mm.
are really wreak major havoc on your hormonal system.
Glycophosphate,
Yes, it's
atrazine.
terrible. It's terrible. And
Yeah,
it's amazing that it's even allowed still. It's
that's the joke is from Alex Jones that they're turning the frogs gay, and if you, like, stop and slow down, you're like, "Well, wait a minute, actually, atrazine, the 2nd most common, chemical pesticide fertilizer, it's probably on like, you know, 40% of all the foods that you walk past in the grocery store has been shown to actually reverse the sexes of male frogs. It
Yeah.
can almost turn them into a female. Now, I don't know the exposure levels, but that actually is real. That is like a scientific study that you can pull up. You can you can Google like astrazine frogs, male sex change. That is a real thing, and that is something that is being used by a lot of people on the foods that you directly consume, just straight into your body.
Yes. There's something called xenoestrogens, and that's what these are. And so they're basically toxic compounds, man-made, that mimic estrogen in the body.
Right,
And so men have estrogen receptors too, you know, and but you're not supposed to have a lot of estrogen in your body. But if you're taking in these toxins, guess
right.
what? The xenoestrogens are binding to estrogen receptors and boosting your female hormones. Same thing is happening to women, where then they have estrogen dominance, too much estrogen in that form that's triggering
Mm.
cancer and other things. So
What's happening for women as the, estrogen increases? What are the side effects of that?
estrogen dominance leads to inflammation throughout the body. So it increases risk for breast cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, weight gain. Um, it compromises fertility. So estrogen dominance causes polycystic ovarian syndrome.
That's a really common one. I know a couple
Yeah,
people who have that.
yeah, and infertility is a big one too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, okay, that's the pesticides that are being used on food. So the simple solution is organic foods?
As best you can, locally grown. Find a farmer's market near near your house that's relatively convenient to get to, and go to a local farmer's market to get your produce. If you know,
Mm,
start your own little garden isn't a horrible idea. If you can do that, do that.
mm.
But locally grown as best as you can, organic. Yeah.
And, is there any way I know you talk about purification, is there any way that let's say, "Oh, I haven't, been eating organic, I eat potatoes," which I have heard called small poison bombs, which is great because I do love some red skin potatoes. Is there anything I can do to, like, help remove those toxins from my body, or is it time? Is it sweating? Is it exercise? Is there anything I can do there?
There's plenty you can do. So there's the human detoxification system. It's a whole system in your body that's comprised of the liver, the gut, skin, lymphatic system, so kidneys. So it's this huge elaborate system that is working 24/7 to
Mm,
remove toxins that you're exposed to from your body. So your body's doing that on its own naturally. The
mhm,
problem is you get bombarded, and we are bombarded with toxins. We are in our day-to-day lives. So those systems get bogged down. And that's where you support your detoxification systems. I'm a big fan of doing like a purification program at the turn of every season, at
mm,
least once a year, if not more. And then glutathione. That's the like that in from my experience is the most important detoxifying agent you can take. So
mm.
but
I
so
love
yes, in answer to your question, you absolutely you support detoxification. I always say to my patients, do one thing every day that supports detoxification, whether it's sauna, so your skin is a detox organ, you're sweating stuff out. Exercise absolutely supports detoxification. You know, glutathione supports detoxification. There are a lot of different ways, but do something like consciously every day. It's where you're like, okay, I'm doing this to support detoxification. Making sure you're hydrated will
mm.
help with kidney clearance. Um,
Interesting. I was just looking up, the male drop in sperm rate and testosterone because we were talking about the chemical pesticides, and there's a lot of different theories about why this is happening.
mhm.
But, in a 2022 study, sperm counts fell on average by 1.2% per year between 1973 and 2018. From the year of 2000, this rate of decline accelerated to more than 2.6% per year. So they theorize that if something does not change, we will be totally infertile by 2050. So
Which that's not that far from now. I mean,
it is
that's
not that far from now. And men's testosterone levels are also dropping. This study right here in front of me says that mean total testosterone decreased in 2000 from 605, 2003, 560, 2011, 420, 2013, 430, 2015,
mm,
421. So it's just
yeah.
like down, 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 down. So to your point, when people are like, oh, I don't like to exercise. Well, yeah, you're probably a product of your environment. You probably have
Mhm.
like a 400 level testosterone. And I can totally understand why you don't feel like exercising at all. That's a really big one for me. I also am a
Yeah.
big advocate of just getting plastics like out of your life as best as you can. A lot of people think that I'm like wacky because of that, but I think that one's going to be talked
Oh,
about
it's
a
it
lot in the next 15 to 20 years. That
it will be,
everything
yeah.
is plastic,
Mm,
and a lot of them single use plastics that are like very thin walled. Like you drink a bottle of water, that bottle is so thin, like that plastic is leaching into that bottle. You're drinking it
mhm.
and it's just going to stockpile in your body. And you talk about fertility, that's a big one for male and female fertility.
It
Both
is.
sexes are having issues with fertility. It's not just a female thing, it's a male thing on the other side of the coin.
Oh, yeah, with the quality of the sperm. Absolutely. And so again, I go back to do something. Be conscious of that human detoxification system and do something every day. Maybe you're not going to cut out all plastics from your life, right? But maybe you switch to glass, water bottles once a week or whatever it
Mhm,
is. Do something. Yeah,
mhm.
exactly. Take action. Take action consciously, daily to support detoxing.
And this is my least favorite answer to that. "Well, you're not gonna get rid of all plastics. What about your ground beef that came in plastic?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Look, yeah,
that's reality.
I agree with you. It's not perfect. But
No.
you know what? I'm not gonna take that and put it into the microwave and cook it
Oh
inside
gosh.
that plastic." Like,
No.
many people I know, they're still, like, cooking things, like, in their little, like, thin Tupperwares in the microwave. They're, like, making soup in it, and I'm like, you have to put that in for 5 minutes. Like, this is crazy. Like, just get a glass bowl. You get one bowl, you buy it once, and as long as it doesn't break, it should last forever. It's easier to
Yeah,
clean, like, it's just a better product. Like, what are we doing here?
and it's there's definitely lack of education, you're right, with a lot of these people just don't know. They just don't know. And I wanted to when you were talking about, the unmotivated guy who's on the couch being like, "I just don't feel like working out," and maybe they've been exposed to a ton of toxins and all that. Even if they get their testosterone tested and it's in the 400s, and so a doctor says, "Okay, yeah, you need testosterone." Just as important as taking the testosterone is what are you doing and how well is your body clearing the hormone from your system? So
Mm,
when you take hormones, you absolutely want to be supporting liver clearance, liver detoxification when you're taking those hormones to promote balance. So it's super important. Like in my practice, anytime I'm prescribing bioidentical hormones, I'm giving my patients glutathione, and I'm a big proponent for detoxing, but they're taking that while they're taking their hormones.
mm,
So you have to balance both systems, the human detoxification system and the endocrine system. They work together, they work beautifully together. And between those two systems in the body, you're going to address most symptoms and conditions that we have in
mm.
one way or another. Yeah.
Interesting. What are most people not understanding about their hormone regulation?
What are they not understanding? That it's like a symphony. And so you've
Mm,
got so many different hormones in the body. Testosterone is one of them, but you have cortisol and DHEA and growth hormone, estrogen, progesterone. And you really want to look at and measure all of the different hormones and make sure that they're all working kind of in harmony. And the more harmony you have, the better you are going to feel and better you're going to function. You're going to think more clearly. You're going to be able to regulate your emotions better. Everything works better, everything, when your hormones are balanced. So,
so let's go back to the person who's they're not ready for hormone profile testing. Well, wait a minute. First and foremost, my doctor won't cover that, which is one
right.
of biggest pet peeves.
Yeah.
My buddy went in and he was just doing like a physical essentially, like a routine checkup, and they did like his blood work and I was like, Ask them to get your testosterone checked." And he asked them and they're like, "Well, why do you want that?" And he's like, I just feel like that's a pretty normal question. Like, I want to just check on it. And they're like,
Yeah.
you feel like you have symptoms of low testosterone? He's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
want to check on my
Yeah.
level.
Mhm.
So there, unfortunately, is like a misunderstanding there between the medical establishment. And I think I heard uh, Brigham Bueller talking about it, that when he worked as a clinician, he would not be able to bill the insurance
Yeah,
companies for those because they didn't view that as being relevant enough
that's true.
to actually send the bill out. So he's like, if I do this panel for 40 different things, they're
Mhm.
gonna deny 35 of them. They're gonna let
Yep.
you like your cholesterol, your HDL, your LDL, 2 or 3 other things, and boom, like that's it. I'm not gonna get reimbursed for these 35 other tests that we did.
Which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The fact we want more people wanting to know, wanting to know what's going on in their body and testing for these things, getting educated, saying, "Hey, I want to know what my D3 level is and my B12, my estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHA, all these things." If they're wanting to know that information so that they can be more proactive with their health and help to prevent chronic illnesses, we should be incentivizing that. We want that. We will
Yeah,
save a lot of money.
I have this dream that someday if I exit this business, my next business would be in the health space,
Yeah.
but I would want to do it differently. And let me just bounce this idea off you. I view healthcare as sort of being sick care. I mean, I think we can pretty much agree that there's no incentive for your doctors to keep you healthy. It's actually the opposite. Like if you're my doctor and you're in the standard practice, the best thing that could happen for me financially is that you are chronically ill, because then you keep coming in and okay, maybe I make a little kicker off the medication that you're making. I'm not quite sure. Like, oh, if you get cancer, woo, I'm going to make some money off that. Like I was told that hospitals make the single most amount of money off of in-house cancer drug formulation. So they can make these like chemical compositions that are totally catered to you, Dr. Gina. So this is your medication, but they make like hundreds of thousands of dollars off of that. So unfortunately, and I'm not saying any doctor is out there wanting you to get sick, but if you want to look at how someone is going to behave, look at their incentive structure. So my dream is to reverse that incentive structure, and I would pay in almost like insurance. Let's say, Dr. Gina, you get 10 patients and we all pay you like whatever, like a $3,000 a year, $5,000 a year. 5,000 is probably not that crazy because that's like what? It's 500-600 bucks a month in insurance, which is what people are paying already in a lot of different instances. And you have control over what tests we're doing, but you get to keep more money of that 5 grand when I have no health interventions. Like if I have a stroke, like boom, that 5 grand's gone. Like
Mhm.
because it has to go to my treatment now. So your goal as the doctor would be, hey, I want to make Alex as
Exactly.
healthy as is possible.
Yeah.
Maybe I buy him like a little like accident plan in case he falls off the snowboard and breaks his collarbone, but I want him to be like optimized because I want to have him in my pool. And also, you would have to have a time bound nature on it because it's probably going to be pretty easy for you to keep me healthy in like 1 year, but in 10 years, it's a different story. So you would have to basically like be my practitioner for 10 years. And then if I'm healthy throughout those 10 years, Dr. Gina makes more cash. If I get unhealthy, your money goes down.
Yeah, you'll
Maybe
be
I'm
more incentivized to
Maybe
research.
I'm living in a fairy tale, but how does my business model sound so far?
Sounds good to me. I would tie in a little bit of nonprofit in there too. It just seems like hospitals, they used to be nonprofit, like true, real, for real, not like what they are now, but for real, they were nonprofit institutions
Mm,
where it wasn't business. It wasn't just business. Healing. I mean, it just seems like, the focus needs to shift
mm,
away from having it just be a money-making venture and back
mm,
to, doing the good work and helping to heal people and the planet, and doing your work in a sound, balanced way where it's not just about profitability.
mm. Yeah, I'm a
You're a
believer
businessman.
and yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a well,
No, and that's I mean, even with when I created this product, the Best Daily Ever, so I have a foundation called the Brain Health and Mental Wellness Foundation. And so my whole vision is just kind of like the 5-hour energy drink, right? Where those billions of dollars, the originator of the 5-hour energy drink, he pours 99% of that into technologies that help to heal the planet, right? That makes sense to me. And so that's where I'm okay if I can grow this and then funnel those proceeds into true nonprofits that are, providing biohacking treatments to mothers who need it, and kids and families and whatnot. That's interesting to me. And that feels more like a model that I'm aligned with.
Mhm. I
You know?
totally get it because you talk about these for-profit hospitals that are extracting every dollar out of the insurance process that they can, and then the insurance
Yeah.
process is extracting every dollar they can out of the group. And well, your group's not quite big enough, so it was $350 a month. Now it's $650 a month if you want to sign back on because they just don't care about our group because it's like 20 people and that's like small potatoes for them. But I also think that there's businesses out there that you can do good while also doing well. Like if I
Oh
open
yeah,
a gym
absolutely.
and I get
Absolutely.
60 people to sign up and they want to pay me $30 a month and I can pocket 10 grand a month and
100%.
like I'm helping them, you're helping me. Like
100%.
that's
Love
where I
that.
go. If you like don't believe in capitalism, like, well, show me how someone's being like ripped off on this transaction. Like,
Right.
who's the one that's like under the thumb of the man when you choose to sign up for my gym and I give you good quality service and then you leave like a better person. Like, how is that exploitative? Explain
It's
that one to
not.
me.
No, it's not. And there are ways to get this information out there and increase access to things like biohacking treatments where, the people who are bringing it to market are profiting great, and it's also accessible to the people.
Mhm.
There's absolutely ways to do that,
So,
and that's what I'm about.
speaking of money in the biohacking system, like I said, I spend 10% of my net income on my health. I just started doing this about 18 months ago,
Mhm.
but it's a kind of a promise I made to myself, and so far it's worked and hasn't been that hard. It's pretty nice to spend money. Um, what are the levers you think that I should be attempting to pull with that, or anyone else who's out there and they're like, "Hey, I don't know, 10%. That maybe that's a little too much, but maybe I could spend 3% or 5% or 2% or 1%."
Yeah.
What are the things that you would be thinking about for me?
I'm a big fan of testing. So doing some of those functional tests to find out what's really out of balance for you.
Mhm.
So because then I'm going to say take supplements, take high quality supplements because they work, but find out which ones you really need
Mm,
so that you're only spending that 10% on supplements that your body actually needs. So I
mm,
would say that for sure in terms of supplementation, investing in locally grown organic
mm,
produce, so spending more and getting quality food and beef, or if you eat animal protein, just going local and go organic.
mm.
And then beyond that, I love red light therapy and pulsed electromagnetic frequencies. I think that
What's pulsed
a
electrolyte? What is that?
PEMF. So there's something called the Beamer mat became very popular, but it's basically stimulating microcirculation. So it's
Mhm.
a pulsed electromagnetic frequency that stimulates healing in the body. There's a mat called TheraPro that I really like. Been recommending that a lot to patients because they can use it at home. And it's a red light mat. It has the PEMF in
Oh,
it, has a TENS unit attached to it, and they can use it themselves. They don't have to go somewhere to get the treatment, you know?
is that
So
different than like
that's
like a grounding mat?
no, totally different,
Oh,
totally different.
I do sleep on a grounding mat. I have
Yeah.
no idea if it does anything or not,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. So I've got a grounding mat. Those are great, but look up TheraPro. I really like their mat. It's an investment, but it's something you have forever and you can use it every day. And that's a pretty cool little device. I think sauna therapy is super valuable.
I
Super in terms
do
of bang for your buck, investing in whether if there's a place where you can go, depending on where you live and whatnot, where you have access to a sauna, go do it. go use
Mm.
it. Um, that's what I would focus on, and then depending on what your test showed, if you had some major nutrient deficiencies, getting some IV nutrients would be a good idea. Um, and then of course glutathione. I'm biased, but I love glutathione. I think it's so powerful, and is so game changing for people. So
I do, blood work every 6 months,
yeah,
so then I try to get tailored recommendations, some of which
good,
have worked, some of
very
which
good.
have not worked.
Hmm.
Uh, I do red light therapy. I got a red light.
Hmm.
I'm trying to expand it to get to the full kinda body panel thing. It's just like this size now,
Yeah, yeah,
jai by jai. This is interesting. I'm looking at kind of these mats, therapy bundle, elevate my wellness journey here potentially. Um,
TheraPro, yeah,
the new building that we are building will
yeah,
have a sauna, and we're gonna do cold therapy. I don't know if
great.
you have any thoughts on
Yeah,
cold therapy, if you
I
think it's
love it.
something or nothing.
I think it's great.
And then let me think of the other things that I do. I have done some peptides. I'm not actively doing any right now.
I love peptides.
I Well, talk to me about them. Are there any, like, ongoing peptides that you recommend people take, or is this all, like, intermittent for specific issues or things that are happening in the body?
I mean, I use them intermittent depending on what's going on in the
Okay.
body, but peptides can be very valuable. Glutathione's a peptide; it's a tripeptide. Yeah, but they can be so healing, and the challenge now is access to quality peptides, and so
Mhm.
that's like a discussion for another day. But peptide therapy, I wouldn't underestimate the power of peptides in terms of healing. And then there's something called Brain Tap that I love. That would be another thing I'd
Brain
recommend.
tap.
Yeah, look up Brain Tap. It was just founded by Dr. Patrick Porter. And it's a device. It has red and blue lights, and it's like a headset with a
Yeah, that
visor.
kinda looks like headphones almost.
Yeah, but it has a visor, so it goes over your eyes as well. And you can download, they have a whole bunch of different biohacking meditations, everything from, if you're a high performance athlete to you have issues with sleep to depression, anxiety, you name it. But it's almost like hypnotherapy, but not. And
Mm,
they're using the red light therapy and even auricular, the technology behind auricular acupuncture. So there's acupuncture points in your ears that are associated with every part of your body. It's
mm,
pretty fascinating. And so it's stimulating some of those points while you're wearing the headset. Pretty amazing. The studies on brain tap are pretty amazing. And just from everybody that I've recommended it to, we get only positive feedback. So that's
mm,
another thing. And even for, to have an employer that offered, employees access to brain tap, you're going to improve just focus and creative thinking. And they're 20-minute sessions. You have an employee that's super stressed out. If they could lay down and just put this headset on for 20 minutes, it's amazing the difference. I found out about it. I was at a conference, an A4M longevity conference. So around because lots of people, and I'm an introvert. So it's, being around tons of people all the time and talking and all that is stressful. And I had my HRV level tested, heart rate variability.
mm,
And they had a whole display out there. And so they tested my HRV and I'm like, oh, I'll try it. I laid down. They had these little lounge chairs and I put the brain tap on for 20 minutes. And then they tested my HRV again and it skyrocketed. It was amazing. So I
mm,
felt, I mean, when I got up, I was like, wow, it's like I just did in a like awesome yoga class. And I just felt
mm.
very zen, but it was 20 minutes using brain tap and it definitely affected my HRV as well. So that was my introduction to brain tap. And since then, I mean, that was years ago. I continue to recommend it. So
Do you use any sort of, like, tracker? Do you use, like, a Whoop tracker
for a
or
long time, I was using Whoop. Yeah, I recommend Whoop. And I finally took it off just because I was looking at it too much.
mm.
So I took a break from it, but it's great. I mean, it shows me what's happening. And I'll put it back on again. But right now I'm just taking a break because I didn't want to be so fixated. And that perfectionist in me would be like overly focused on it. And so I had to give myself a break.
Yeah, I would maybe do like an Aura ring. I don't really
Yeah,
like wearing things on my, like, hands and wrists. I just
yeah,
sort of don't enjoy it. So I did get the Whoop, and I bought, like, the underwear that you can, like, just tuck it into,
yeah.
and I think I even had, like, maybe like a chest strap that you could
Uh-huh.
tuck it into. And I just found my and the underwear ended up being, like, just way too small, so I was like, "Well, I can't even wear this."
Yeah, yeah,
So, I ended up just wearing on my wrist, and then as I was looking through the data, I just, like, didn't always agree with the data, and it would be like, "You're not well rested, like, don't work out today," and I'm like, "I don't need
yeah.
anything else telling me not to work out, like, I can tell myself not to work out, alright?"
Right, right.
So it just wasn't for me. I understand the value. I think maybe if anything, the sleep tracking would be helpful for me, just
Yeah.
because you wake up and you go, "How'd you sleep?" "Well, I don't know. I thought it was okay." You're like,
Mhm,
I'm about as tired as I normally am when I wake up.
mhm.
So is that a good thing? I bet did I have a great night's sleep or a bad night's sleep?" I think getting some data for that might be helpful, just so I could at least say like, "Well, Dr. Gina told me to stop eating after 7, and now I've tried that. Like, is that actually even working?" Like,
Is it helping you? Yeah. So
exactly.
just having that, because biochemical individuality, right? Everybody's different. And so having something you can measure, right? So as you're making changes, you can see the change, how those changes are impacting
Yeah.
you. That's good.
Just an experimentation process, and I think that's
Yeah.
probably something that everyone can take away from this podcast is just go out and experiment. Don't listen to us. Like, see how you feel when you
Try.
cut
Yeah.
fried foods out of your diet. See how you feel if you stop drinking
Yes.
soda. See how you feel if you start taking glutathione. If it feels good, keep doing it. If not, all right, that's on you. That's your decision you can make.
But you're exposing people to all these different options out there, and that's where I think that's the most valuable thing, and just letting people know you're never too old, you're never too sick, you're never too anything to start from where you are right now and make a change for the better
Mhm.
for your life. There's all you can always do that, and that's super important because I mean, I have patients who they're just so bogged down and depressed because there's just too much going on. And they're overwhelmed by their symptoms, and when they realize, oh, I can just take this one action, I can do this one thing, and that's going to help propel me forward. Okay, I can do that. And then it's amazing that that then leads to the next step and the next step. And so you're never too old. It's never too late to start from where you are
I
and heal.
love that. I love that. A quote that I just heard that I love, it's from Alan Watts. It's, "You're under no obligation to be the person that you were 5 minutes ago."
Yeah,
It's like, "Yep, I can change. I can start to
yeah,
grab some ownership in my life." And those little wins, they will add up.
yeah, yeah.
Dr.
Mm.
Gina, this was fantastic. Where can people find you if they wanna check out, your products, your clinic, if they wanna get some help with, maybe some of your group purification things? Talk to us about that.
Sure. So the glutathione product, it's called Best Daily Ever. And so bestdailyever.com is the website, bestdailyever.com. And that's where all the glutathione products are available. And then for the purification program, if you just go to drgina.com, drgina.com, that's everything about my clinic. And then there's a link there if you're interested in getting signed up with our group purification program.
Well, I have to say it because I am a purist, but I think that the products should be on Amazon, Dr. Gina.
I know, we need to talk. We need to
Let's
talk. That's the
well,
next step. We just launched. So,
w
yeah,
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Gina. I really appreciate your time tonight.
my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.